Welcome back to EFD for a look at 5 managers wasting a golden generation. Remember, if you disagree with our selections or have some picks of your own, then get involved in the debate below. Let's go. 5. Roberto Martinez. Belgium's transformation over the last decade has been truly incredible. They went 12 years without playing in a major tournament between 2002 and 2014, even losing to Armenia and Estonia in their 2010 World Cup qualifiers. The hoodoo was broken as their former captain Mark Wilmots led the Red Devils to the final 8 at both Brazil 2014 and Euro 2016. However, with their new crop of youngsters, the belief was that they could go even further. Daniel van Buiten was the only player to feature for Belgium at both the 2002 and 2014 World Cups, as a new generation was ushered in. The likes of Axel Witsel, Eden Hazard, Kevin De Bruyne and Romelu Lukaku were all under 25 but had racked up almost 150 caps between them. 2 years later in 2016, hot prospects Yannick Carrasco, Michy Batshuayi and Divock Origi also entered the fray. And this is where Roberto Martinez comes in. Fresh from his sacking at Everton at the end of the 2015-16 campaign, the Spaniard took the reins at Belgium following the conclusion of that summer's Euros, where his new nation were disappointingly knocked out by Wales in the quarters. Martinez's first major tournament in charge was the 2018 World Cup, where they got over their final 8 curse by defeating Brazil, although they would fall to France in the semi-finals and finish third. It was a remarkable achievement, and understandably more was expected next time round. After all, Vincent Kompany was into his 30s, Hazard and De Bruyne were approaching their late 20s, and Lukaku had already shattered the national goal-scoring record at just 25. But Belgium would falter at Euro 2020, perhaps hindered somewhat by the global pandemic setting the tournament back a year, although they did lose to eventual champions Italy. Martinez probably has one more shot at glory with his adopted nation in Qatar, but it looks extremely unlikely. 20 of the 26-man Euro 2020 squad were 27 or over, while the likes of Eden Hazard and Kevin De Bruyne have recently been spending more time with the physios than on the pitch. This isn't to take anything away from Martinez's achievements, given they ended 2018 top of the FIFA rankings, an incredible rise from 62nd just 7 years earlier. In fact, the 3 years they've spent continuously at number 1 is the longest spell any nation has held top spots since the Brazil side of the early to mid-2000s. So while there is a lot to be proud of for Martinez and Belgium, the dominance they've consistently shown in qualifying has not been translated to tournaments. 4. Adi Hütter. Prior to this season, Borussia Monchengladbach had been establishing themselves as one of the bigger sides in the Bundesliga. They haven't finished outside the top half since 2010-11 and have reached the top 4 on 4 occasions, peaking at 3rd in 2014-15, their highest position since the late 80s. Last season they barely missed out on a 3rd consecutive season of European football, and in the German managerial merry-go-round they saw Marco Rose ahead for Borussia Dortmund, managing to poach an almost equally exciting tactician in Adi Hütter from Eintracht Frankfurt. Rose's Gladbach side was built around goalkeeper Jan Sommer, Matthias Ginter and Nico Elvedi in defence, and Florian Neuhaus and Christoph Kramer in midfield. Going forward, the likes of Alessandro Plea, Lars Stindl and Marcus Thuram led the line, and he produced one of the highest scoring Bully teams in his 2 years in charge. With Hütter now at the helm, the core of the team is the same, with just one of the Austrian signings being a regular starter, but Die Fohlen have plummeted down the table. At the time of recording, the club have lost 4 of their last 5 games in the Bundesliga, conceding 18 goals in the process, losing 4-1 twice and falling 6-0 to Freiburg. This is all despite an impressive 5-0 victory over Bayern Munich in the DFB Pokal. And it's not like Hütter can blame any departures either. Mönchengladbach haven't sold a player for money since Torgan Hazard left for Borussia Dortmund in 2019, the same summer that Rosa arrived at the club. And this is a far cry from the success that Hütter achieved at Frankfurt, which culminated in a 5th place finish, their highest since 1994, and a Europa League semi-final. He still has a shot of bringing back a trophy to Borussia Park for the first time since 1995 in the Pokal, but overall Die Fohlen have underwhelmed since Hütter arrived. Just 2 points off the relegation playoff at the time of recording. Let's hope this doesn't undo the hard work and progression made off the pitch since their return to the top flight in 2008. 3. Walter Mazzarri. Cagliari Calcio are quickly becoming a rough diamond that is impossible to polish, with the club's management changing hands a ridiculous 15 times in the past decade alone. Most are lucky to reach 6 months in the job, while 2021 has seen 3 different faces in the dugout at the Sardinia Arena. Their latest manager is Walter Mazzarri, a veteran of the touchline with 10 different clubs to his name. Accolades include a Coppa Italia victory and a Serie A runners-up medal with Napoli, plus spells with Inter, Watford and Torino. Yet life with the Islanders is proving to be far from a paradise. Drafted in on a comical 3-year deal in September, the 60-year-old has won just once from 15 games, lost on 8 occasions and conceded 29 times, just shy of 2 a match. Castellu are now 19th, 3 points off Spezia in safety. Yet Mazzarri should know better given his experience and the squad at his disposal, dubbed in Italian media as too good to go down. In Kevin Strootman, Martin Caceres and Leonardo Pavoletti, he has 3 seasoned pros at Cagliari's core, while Joao Pedro is a striker bang in form. Not to be confused with Watford's namesake, the 29-year-old has netted 43 times in the league since the start of 2019-20, almost a third more than the next highest Brazilian scorer in Europe's big divisions, Man City's Gabi Jesus. Meanwhile, Nathan Nandez is one of the continent's most in-demand midfielders. The Uruguayan has reportedly played his last game for the side ahead of a rumoured January switch to Inter Milan, and his loss would be devastating considering his reputation as one of the top pressers in Italy. But Mazzarri's muddled tactics, which include multiple changes of formation mid-match, has left his players confused. Dalbert and the promising 20-year-old Andrea Carboni are regularly shifted around in defence, and Who Scored claims Nandez has adopted 8 different positions this term, from right back through to centre forward. It's no wonder Diego Godin and the rest of the Cagliari defence are shipping 16 shots per game and maintaining a miserable 42% possession. To top it all off, Mazzarri's keeper Alessio Cragno is one of Italy's finest. Capped twice for his country, across the past 3 seasons he has prevented over 10 goals more than predicted and maintained a save rate close to 76%. Vital work for a side fighting relegation. However, the 27-year-old's save rate has plummeted to 61% this term, no thanks to the tactics ahead of him. Cagliari are in a desperate hole, which will get even deeper if Nandez is sold. The club's supporters should hope Mazzarri is on the same boat off Sardinia if that happens. 2. Peter Bosz. While this section is titled after Lyon manager Peter Bosz, it is just as much the fault of owner Jean-Michel Aulas and the club boardroom for the Dutchman's failings on the pitch, with their short-term planning finally catching up with them this season. Rudy Garcia left upon the expiry of his contract last summer and Bosz came in, expected to improve upon the 4th place finish of his predecessor, despite losing their biggest goal threat in Memphis Depay. At their core though, Ligue still have an exciting young squad. No outfield player has featured more than Houssem Aouar, with the 23-year-old having been linked with a multitude of clubs since his breakthrough at the Groupama Stadium back in 2017-18. Even now he is linked with the likes of Arsenal and Real Madrid, both in far more appealing positions than his current side, but the club keep knocking back offers for the Frenchman. 3 of the next 4 players with the most minutes are all also under 25. Bruno Guimaraes is starting to come into his own after almost 2 years in Ligue Un, while Maxence Caqueret is the next exciting prospect to come out of the famed Lyon Academy, and has already racked up 62 appearances for the club aged just 21. Then there's Lucas Paqueta, who has found his feet in Europe after making the switch from AC Milan just over a year ago. He is amongst Ligue 1's best performers this campaign, with the 24-year-old contributing 6 goals and 4 assists, both more than any of his teammates. But despite all this emerging talent, alongside the likes of Karl Toko Ekambi, Moussa Dembele, Jerome Boateng and Xherdan Shaqiri, Bosz's Lyon side sits in the bottom half at the time of writing. Sure, they might only be a handful of points off the European spots, but with the race for second so wide open, many fans expected Lyon to be doing a lot better than they currently are. Lyon have dropped points in injury time in a number of games, with Bosz's famed high-intensity style often leaving his defence exposed, resulting in just 1.4 points per game to date, considerably less than the 1.9 previous managers Garcia and Bruno Genesio achieved, equivalent to 17 points difference over a season. However, their saving grace as it stands is the Europa League. Lyon cruised through their group, picking up 16 points, earning a place in the last 16 of the competition. Not that that truly eases the pressure on Bosz though, with Aulas likely more than happy to fire a 4th coach in little over 2 years if they can't get back into the Champions League. 1. Max Allegri. Make no mistake, Max Allegri should be doing much better with the Juventus squad at his disposal. Across his initial 5 years in charge of the Bianconeri, Scudetti were always delivered off the back of a watertight defence. No more so than in 2015-16 when the old lady conceded just 20 times and kept 22 clean sheets. But after 18 games of this season, Allegri's new Juve have already conceded 17, just one fewer than at the same point last season under Andrea Pirlo. Yet he is still using the trusted old guard of Chiellini and Bonucci, now boasting a combined age of 71, despite it being clear that time is catching up with the pair. This is especially the case for Bonucci, who has watched his pressures and tackles per 90 all fall to a 5-year low. It would therefore make sense to seriously integrate some of the Bianconeri's young centre-halves, but once again this is not happening at the Allianz Stadium. Merih Demiral was sent to Atalanta this season, following the same path taken by Cristian Romero, and like the Argentine, he has quickly become one of the division's best defenders with regular game time. Daniele Rugani, meanwhile, has almost lost all his early hype in Turin, having only started 67 league matches in the past 5.5 years, while Matthias de Ligt, signed for a massive €75 million just 2 seasons ago, wants out this summer. Just where Mino Raiola plans to find a big money bar for the 22-year-old remains to be seen. Juve's midfield is a similar collection of costly underperforming talent. Artur, Locatelli, Kulusevski and McKennie are all 25 or under and purchased for a combined price well in excess of €120 million, yet Locatelli is the only real success so far. They may not have the same gravitas as the Pirlo-Pogba combination of 2015 or prime Pjanic, Matuidi or Khedira, but they are all prospects in desperate need of proper guidance. The 54-year-old's insistence on a 4-4-2 isn't helping them or his attack either. Federico Chiesa, a talismanic figure for club and country over the last 12 months, has merely 2 goal involvements this term, while 12 other sides in Italy have outscored the Bianconeri. Quite simply, they would look lost without Paulo Dybala. It's telling that Chiellini and Cuadrado, now 33, are among the club's top performers, as Allegri still looks like a coach who clicks with a developed generation of player. Sadly, Juve are not in that stage and may need a progressive new face in the dugout or risk all their young potential going to waste. So those are our 5 managers wasting a golden generation, a potentially controversial one, so let us know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, please click the like button and subscribe to EFD if you haven't done so already. Thanks for watching, see you next time.